everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Today's discussion is going to be really interesting because it's really about, do you really know Christie? And today we have from Christie, Steve Capling, Senior Director, Enterprise Marketing, Joel St-Denis, Director of Product Management, and Chris Key, Executive Director of Product Management. So really, starting off, one, I have a feeling not everybody has a clue that Christie has been in the business for nearly 95 years. And I know that our audience would really love to hear about its roots and bring us up to date. So Steve, if you wouldn't mind starting us off.
Sure, that's very true, Cindy. Very few people do know much about our start in 1929. And surprisingly, Christie was even a technology-based company back then. In fact, our main product focus back then was battery chargers, and it was a focus for decades. And we manufactured a couple of other products between that time and the 60s and 70s when Christie got its start in cinema manufacturing. We started manufacturing film tables as well as an increasingly popular range of 35 millimeter film projectors. And ironically, in parallel, Electrohome was a manufacturer of single and 3 CRT projection technology since the mid-70s. And we were already developing DLP technology in the 90s. And then the Christie acquired Electrohome in 1999. And that was basically a critical step to laying the foundation of where we are today, a future as a global leader in digital projection technologies. And we've had several significant milestones since that time. We were the first, for instance, to license TI's DLP technology. In 2009, we launched microtiles, our modular rear projection cube units, and they could be stacked together to form large canvases. In 2015, we acquired Kulux, which is the manufacturer of Pandora's Box, and now that's a Christie homegrown product, of course, for media servers and show control systems. We also developed Christie Terra, which is an AV over IP technology that is based on its own or integrated into some of our projection solutions already. And then another big milestone for us was in 2019 when we developed the first all-in-one RGB laser projector, the D4K40 RGB, and that one, that was the first one that didn't require external chillers or laser racks, and one of the most advanced and smallest RGB projectors available. So, and one last thing I'll just mention is that that was the same year we started developed the Christie Microtiles LED, next generation microtile solution, which was a very transformative technology in LED for us and still is today. So we've made a lot of strides in innovation and technology development to become a global manufacturing leader in end-to-end AV solutions. And there's probably so much more I could talk about, but I better monopolize the conversation too much. So I'll hand it back to you.
That's quite a history, and I believe that you've been around for almost a third of that. So seeing a lot of developments.
29 years this month.
Wow. Well, congratulations. So obviously Christie's been manufacturing projectors for decades, and that's really what people really know you for. But tell us about some of the latest innovations in projection technology. Let's go specifically around the RGB pure laser illumination.
I'll jump in on this one, Cindy. So I've been at Christie for a while myself, 15 years, but I guess I feel like a rookie compared to Steve and how long he's been here. But Steve and I have had the opportunity to share a lot of memories at trade shows and seeing the products grow through the years and so on. And obviously, Christie's primarily known for projection, despite the fact that we have a lot of other products. But one of the things that has made us so known from the introduction of when we transitioned from cinema projector or traditional film projectors to digital projectors in cinema, there was this real big boom in the industry. And then projectors just continue to get better, smaller, more powerful, right? So you mentioned the RGB projections. So we introduced a whole line of pure RGB projectors, and I'll explain that effectively. You have different light sources that you can use in a projector. So you have a lamp-based projector, which was traditionally what everybody was building before lasers came out. And then when lasers came out, there was a couple different paths companies could choose. They could choose to go down the laser projection using effectively a color wheel, laser phosphor color wheel, to generate the color and the image in the projector, or you could go down the path of pure RGB projection, where you're actually not using laser phosphor wheel. You're using pure, actually red, green, blue lasers to generate the color space. And Christie opted to focus on the latter because they provided the best color space possible, right? One of the things that you'll notice with our RGB projectors is that we're able to reach almost 98% of Rec 2020 color space. That's that triangle that shows you what the human eye can see and how we can replicate this. So most laser phosphor projectors out there are limited to Rec 709, which is the standard smaller triangle, and what most people have on their displays. With the introduction of pure RGB, Christie was able to achieve a much larger triangle, giving the best color reproduction that's out on the market. So we've been able to show these products and compare them, especially when you get in a situation, you show one of our older traditional projectors with the new brand new pure RGB projectors. It's really a night and day difference, and it showed the innovation that Christie has continued to trend on, to always try to bring the best products to market that we can, and that's why we chose RGB.
So are those used in any application?
They're pretty much used all over the place now, from cinema to live events, projection mapping, corporate applications. On the 3-chip side specifically, we do also have some laser phosphor-based projectors where we're on the single chip DLP product categories, which still provide a fantastic image. There's different tiers, right, that you have in projections. So we effectively have a very rich product line in the 1 DLP category, which starts at 4,000 lumens, goes all the way up to 22,000 lumens. And then we have a 3 DLP category, which utilizes pure RGB, and that product line starts at 25,000 lumens and goes all the way up to 50,000 lumens.
No, that's that sounds like it covers pretty big range there.
Yeah, we're well set up from having done projection for years. We know which markets we need to address, and we spread our product line to fill all those gaps.
Yep. So you know what, you mentioned the trade shows, and I have to say, as long as I've been covering the industry, go to the trade shows, and Christie's always had an amazing booth. The projection mapping on all kinds of different shapes, or you go step outside and you're projecting onto really interesting shapes and buildings. So everybody's very, very familiar with that. But so you know what, Chris, Christie is very well known for the projectors, but Christie also has a very robust end-to-end video wall solutions that are also used in many different applications. So let's talk about that. And I've seen and heard you say homegrown, and what does that mean? So let's go back to the video wall solutions and tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so I think the homegrown is something that goes very close at heart with a lot of people like Christie. And, as Steve said, the Christie history is very long. And if we go back all the way to 2009, when they did the original micro tiles, the cube base with a very narrow bezel or almost seamless display across a canvas. That's actually the concept that Christie has taken to explore to the next stage using the narrow pixel pitch LED and form a very versatile, very flexible canvas of LED displays across, almost any configuration, from curves to outside corners to inside corners and architectural displays. And this product itself, the solution for the microtiles LED is developed by Christie with a lot of the state-of-the-art mechanical type designs. And for example, the Christie's patented click and go solution, which makes the whole LED installation very flexible and adaptable. These are all designed and homegrown by the Christie team And along with that, a lot of the portions of that microtiles LED solution are also manufactured at the Christie's manufacturing facility as well. So we own that and develop that, and we actually make that into some of the best-in-class automation in terms of the production as well. For example, we have things with robotic and automation handling, which are some of the best and sophisticated in the world that you'll find today. And this actually helps us because it builds the capacity and helps us to, for example, triple up the production when it's needed as well. So it gives us a very flexible way of giving a very good production output, and that's where Christie is very happy and very proud of our homegrown solution like that. So coming up with the that microtiles LED, it gives a lot of differentiation in terms of the performance because it has very good colors and uniformity across the whole LED display. At the same time, it makes a lot of the installation and the maintenance also very easy as well. And these are all, very important for applications that Christie cares about, particularly in things like, where Christie has a lot of legacy in applications like the control rooms, in corporate lobbies and auditoriums and, the event spaces and things like that. This is all where, we are bringing these microtiles LED solutions out to the market.
But two follow-up questions to that. You mentioned manufacturing. Where is the Christie manufacturing done?
So Christie has multiple manufacturing all over the world, but specifically to where the microtiles LED and the automation robotics, that's actually in our facilities over in Kitchener in Canada.
Ah, nice. These days, we're hearing that the cost of these tiles are coming down, and we're seeing more applications. What are you seeing more of that we might not have seen 5 years ago?
The applications and where the market needs and what people are looking for is extremely vast in terms of their needs. There are people who would be very budget focused, as you mentioned, Cindy, that will be aiming for the lowest in price. They're always going down in terms of cost and finding the lowest or most affordable version of the whatever applications or installations they're looking for their audio and visual displays. At the same time, we have also seen a number of our customers that are, very particular about their needs of their applications and especially the performance. And Joe just mentioned that, in a small portion about the requirements for example, in some areas in theme parks. We also have seen customers, for example, the Fortune 50 or 500 customers, they are very particular about the quality of the displays that they're looking for. So they sometimes don't always go for necessarily the most cost affordable version, but they want the best in class performance. So I think there's a market for many spaces for a lot of the companies to pitch their type of products. And as we mentioned, where Christie stands, Christie has a long history and still carries on the tradition of bringing a lot of innovation for a lot of the best-in-class visual performance type of displays.
Great. And I think actually what you said about the performance really leads right into our next topic. Because we've talked about what we're seeing on the surface. It's really great visual image. But Christie also has been a pioneer in the solution technologies that drive and manage the image, from whether it's switchers, distribution, image processing, and content management. So tell us a little bit about these solutions, because I think not a lot of people are aware that Christie's in this space.
Sure, I'll jump in here and answer that. Yeah, definitely. One of the things that has made Christie stand out from some of the other projector companies out there is we've always been a company that's had written our own software to supplement the projectors, even having things like when I first joined Christie, I was on the software side actually. And one of the products that we had at the time was a camera alignment system where you imagine you have multiple projectors that are stitched together to create one nice seamless image. Wherever those projectors overlap, you would typically get a band of brighter light, right? So there are manual ways of compensating that with some software, but Christie went a step further, like 15 years ago, and effectively developed a camera-based solution where it could look at those images and effectively do the calculations so that where the overlap was, the image looked nice and seamless, and then taking that image and warping it to a screen, right? So these are really things that that resonated with our customers, and those products were Twist and Mystique, and way back it was AutoCal and AutoStack. But we've gone a step further, as Chris mentioned, or I should say Steve mentioned during the history. We've made some acquisitions. Pandora's Box, the company was Coolux with a product called Pandora's Box. We've continued to mature that product. It's a media server capable of playing back content, real-time effects, and show control for live events or fixed installations or projection mapping. So we wanted to make sure that we offered our customers an ecosystem, not just a display device, right? So part of that was also getting the signal from Pandora's Box to the projectors, right? So things like Terra, which is basically a video over IP distribution system where we could take the content from the Pandora's Box and send it in 4K uncompressed through the system in order to have a beautiful image, where you now have the flexibility of using Ethernet cables and have much longer distances. So we wanted to make sure we captured that ecosystem. And one of the things that you'll often run into in complex projection systems is you may have an installation that has, 50, 100, 200. We have an installation that has over 250 projectors doing this massive large dome. You need to be able to manage those projectors and see what's going on, see if you have any status alerts. So we have a product called Conductor, which is some software that allows you to see all of projectors you have on your network and get any notifications if any of those projectors are potentially giving you a warning, a temperature warning, or you should change a filter if that's the case, or whatever, right? So we have some software tools that help enhance the experience of our customers to have a complete system from end to end.
And that really makes a difference that it's on over IP now, because a lot still aren't. And if you're going to be managing even a dozen projectors or any of your displays, having it on IP makes a huge difference these days.
Absolutely. We use it in most of our trade shows now when we're presenting, because it simplifies just getting the signal up to the truss or so on, where you don't necessarily have to deal with some of the distance issues you had trying to do it with HDMI, for instance. So it does allow ourselves and our customers to overcome a lot of challenges that were previously there when installing complex systems.
Being able to be remote is important, because you could have a global, installation. So being able to get all that information remotely is also key. And is that something that your software enables as well?
Yeah, you can. All of our products allow you to basically log into them remotely through, as long as they're on a network. So you have the ability to manage products that are not necessarily in your facility, as long as the infrastructure is set up so you can get through the network to access the products. But speaking of the global aspect of it, that's also one thing that we pride ourselves on, is we have a very skilled group of technicians that are deployed globally, as we have offices around the world. And those technicians will end up working with some of our customers, our integrators, on important projects, and be able to come on site and help the installation, integration, train them on how to use these systems and how they work together. So it is not, I feel it's important to say that, unlike a lot of other display companies or projector companies, we're not just selling displays. We are offering a complete solution. We actually have a team that will work with a customer that comes to us, has a project in mind, an idea of something they're trying to do, and we will analyze how many projectors they're going to need, what lenses they're going to need, the throw distance, the software that might help them to keep it looking very good. And I mentioned the camera-based alignment system. Can you imagine like a 20 or 30 projector system that's all blended together? But then if there's any vibrations in your truss or your structure, things kind of go slightly out of alignment. It could take days to realign. Well, we have some software tools that we can install and train that they literally just click go, and it takes about a minute per projector, and you turn a couple days worth of work into 10 to 15 or 20 minutes. So
absolutely.
Additionally, Cindy, I just want to add that we can't forget about our when you're talking about end-to-end solution and image processing technologies that Christie offers, the Spider X80. It's also one of the most powerful multi-windowing processors and content management solutions that are available today on the market. It's capable of managing up to 80 million pixels at 4K, 60 hertz. So with a plethora of inputs and outputs. So it's a great option as well for different shows and or large canvas display installations.
Interesting. Sustainability. It's a hot topic these days. I know Christie's it's been part of your DNA for quite a long time. So just, give me a little bit about that and, talk about Christie's current environmental, social governance goals.
Mm-hmm. So I can maybe start off some topics on that. So definitely, I think the ESG, as you mentioned it, Cindy, is becoming one of the very hot topics. It always has been, and it always has been, something very high up on the agenda for the Christie overall as a company, and that carries on in a lot of going into even the solutions that we design. Take for example, going back to the microtiles LED. The new products that we have on the 0.75 and the 1.0 millimeter products that we are launching this year, and we've made an announcement at IIC, and we carry on with a lot of demonstrations and the product launches this year. Those products are using some of the state-of-the-art LED technologies, which use what we call the flip chip technology, and that reduces the power consumption by close to about half of what a typical LED wall would do. So with that, it really reduces the, for the sake of sustainability, and also also for the total cost of ownership of the solutions. And we continue to systems that we bear a lot of these ESG philosophies in mind. That's just one of them, but also in some of our products, including the projection, we also apply the same principles and apply a lot of the engineering principles along that same methodology as well.
Yeah, just to add to that, Chris, our most recent projector, our pure RGB projectors that we've released, have gotten to the brightest level they've ever been, being able to hit 50,000 lumens in the smallest footprint that's ever been seen in this industry. And as Chris was saying, from a sustainability standpoint, because of the efficiency of these lasers, the lasers that are creating the light source have been getting better over the years. We're generating a brighter image in a smaller footprint with the least amount of power we've needed in the past, right? So these products are the most efficient products and a lumens per watt that we've ever seen in a 3D projector. So that's all important going forward, obviously, in terms of continuing to advance our products. And I think the whole world is effectively finally realizing that we need to be serious about our green footprint and sustainability. So that's definitely a key thing for Christie.
Let's talk about. We've talked a lot about the past 95 years and a lot about what's going on right now at Christie. So what do you see for Christie, let's say, in the next 5-10 years? Joel, let's start with you.
Sure. I think one of the things that has been obvious for a lot of folks in following this industry is we have seen a lot of technologies coming onto the market that Christie's had to adapt to, right? So for instance, if you go back 15 years, we're predominantly a projection company alone, right? But we've since got into the LED, the flat panel space, and so on, because these were all technologies that were coming in. And in the days of having an image in a boardroom that was 120 inches wide, you had to use a projector. But then the flat panels started coming on the market that were 120 inches, right? So we adapted and so on. So Christie's always been good at adapting. And I think based on the history of what Steve introduced earlier and the different things that we went through as a company in terms of producing in our history, we will adapt to what the industry needs and what the market gaps are. And our customers will come to us and say, hey, we really like this product, but we're seeing that the industry is moving towards this direction. And I gave an example of it when some of our customers were coming to us and saying that they were interested in having video distribution go over video over IP as opposed to traditional. We invested in this and developed our own products, right? So we're going to continue to adapt over the next 10 years. And there are going to be some technologies that are going to, for example, LED has taken over a lot of the live touring markets, for instance, right? When we used to go to concerts 15 years ago, you'd see the performer on stage and a couple of projectors on each side that were doing the larger magnification. Now that's been replaced by LEDs. So Christie is in this space as well. So we'll adapt and we'll continue to address the market. I mean, at the end of the day, Christie has always been a leader in coming up with new technology and offering something that's a little bit different than some of the other manufacturers out there. And that's our plan going forward.
Great. Thanks. And Chris, how about you?
Yes, I think, along with what Joe said, I will just add in that I think from my perspective, I also see Christie, being a provider of the solutions in a very creative way. I think what Christie loves doing and the team at Christie loves doing is, finding the right solutions for the customers that meets the needs of and help people to solve the whether that's design, whether that's trying to make their installation or some of their the ability to address their visual displays in a much simpler way and sometimes that could mean it's a partial mix between finding an affordable solution plus something that they can get installed in a very short period of time, because that's often some of the requirements of the industry. So I think where Christie is and has been and Christie will carry on doing so for the next whether that's 5 years or even longer, along with all the technology advances that Joel has mentioned, Christie is always constantly finding the right way to address meeting the needs of the visual experiences of our clients and our partners, and they could be integrators, they could be the distributors or the end users in theme parks and people like that. So again, I think it's always in Christie's DNA and the excitement within the Christie team to carry on flourishing and pushing on that solution over the next 5 years or so.
And Steve, given that you've been with Christie for the longest time, go a little bit into the future.
Certainly. Well, I think, to Chris's point is also just continue to listen to and work closely with our key integrators and partners to ensure that they get the solutions they need, by listening to them and working with them directly as closely as we can when they need us, that we're happy to help them in the design phase or develop, key, installation applications and realize, these installations that can be really out there and unique, and helping them develop it or having them come to us just to get our technology and solutions that help them create it. It's just a matter of us ensuring that we work closely with our partners globally to make sure that we're all successful together in the future.
Well, this has been a really great conversation. I really hope that everybody's gotten a better feel for who Christie is over the past nearly 95 years, and more importantly now and in the future. So thank you, Chris, Joel, and Steve, for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate being here.
Likewise, thank you so much, Cindy, for having us today.
Great. Thank you.